As we reach the cusp of 2020, join me once again as I toss my opinion on anime into the endless void of YouTube in the hopes of both receiving validation and also just because I want to talk about stuff I like. I am PhenomSage, and this is Fall 2019. It's the last season of the decade, so you better believe I'm here to help you spend it right with some good TM Japanese cartoons. Life's too short to sit through all of this trash, so I'm kinda sitting through it for you like an otaku sacrifice in order to definitively tell you, hey, that stupid isekai about a wrestler who's also a blatant furry? It's actually pretty funny. Keep in mind I'm recommending all of the anime in this video based on watching whatever's out right now, which is generally 2 or 3 episodes. So am I saying that my opinion here is completely objective and relevant and helpful for the eternity of time? Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. Also, don't ask about shows like Vinland Saga or Dr. Stone because I already talked about those shows in last season's video, which you would know about if you were a true fan. Not pointing any fingers or anything, but you know who you are. This is every anime you should be watching from fall 2019, and just remember, no pressure. This is gonna be pretty chill, so just go at your own pace, check out what you feel like, it's gonna be fun. So why don't we start off with the best anime I've ever seen in my entire life, and you are an absolute idiot if you are not watching it this season, Babylon. No, not the Fate series, you degenerates. Babylon is a new mystery crime thriller to join the ranks of oversaturated detective shows this year, and on the surface, you might not see much worth getting excited about. I didn't, and this flew right under my radar until I saw some people talking about it. However, it only takes a few minutes of actually watching Babylon to really understand that this is something more. For once in anime's entire existence, a grounded mystery show driven by adult characters isn't some snooze fest of boring politics and dull personalities. This show feels exciting at every turn. Not just the action, but the dialogue. Scenes are quick, characters are smart. We're moving through this mystery at such a breakneck pace, being pulled along twist after twist, and it never lets up. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you anything that happens in the show because I would be ruining a great experience, but just know that out of the 3 episodes that have been released so far, I have been genuinely surprised and on the edge of my seat multiple times already. Like, you are not prepared for how wild it gets in episodes 2 and 3. I'm still thinking about it. I could also go on about how every other aspect of the show elevates the material, such as some of the most gripping cinematography and direction I've seen all year, or a superbly eerie and well-utilized soundtrack, but I kinda wanna save thoughts like that for an inevitable future video, so bottom line, Babylon is the best anime airing this season so far, and I encourage all of you to make it your top priority. Now that the people who only have free time for 1 show per season are out of here, let's talk about something only someone with no life at all would have any interest in. The Fate series. This season's newest iteration comes in the aforementioned Fate Grand Order Babylonia, whose name only makes Babylon harder and harder to talk about, so I have an inherent hatred for it. Name gripes aside, Babylonia is pretty good so far, but it being a part of the Fate series means you can't just walk in on episode 1. What are you, crazy? Starting an anime at episode 1? You will be completely lost if you start Babylonia from the first episode, but it's actually not as complicated as it seems. All you need to watch ahead of time is Fate Grand Order First Order and the episode 0 to Babylonia. Or you can just listen to me talk about the story and not watch either of those things. I'm not your dad. Fate Grand Order on paper is very appealing to me as a video game fan. The general premise is that these 2 characters have to travel back in time to various locations in search of that singularity's holy grail. What results from this is basically an anime version of Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, except Scooby-Doo is a hot, skimpily dressed battle servant, and that box of Scooby snacks is an omniscient death machine. So you better believe I'm all in on this. The characters are likable, the action's cool, and the premise is neat. A bunch of adjectives to say that it's good, yo. Speaking of yo, Chubyo Geki Hatsu Boy, or the bizarrely localized Outburst Dreamer Boys, is a comedy I watched last week, and I walked away from it pretty satisfied. It was fun, expressive as hell, and I had a good time. Then I proceeded to go on my anime list to see what other people thought of it, and that good time was destroyed. A 6.4, guys? Really? No one understands my children, and I will not tolerate this. Chubyo is a complete blast start to finish. It may not have comedy that's making you burst out laughing every 5 seconds, but what it does have is a ridiculous amount of heart and energy watching these eccentric spazzes get up to nonsense that never stops. Now that might seem annoying on its own, but there's always this undertone of wholesomeness that makes all of the shenanigans these characters get up to feel feel endearing. I mean, my boy Noda here spends all day folding paper airplanes just to help Mizuki make new friends. If that can't get a smile out of you, sign your soul over now, fam. You don't deserve it. At least without a soul, you'll fit right in with the main character of our next series, Blade of the Immortal, which focuses on a man named Maji who wants to atone for the innocent people he's killed in the past by instead taking requests to kill evil people like some kind of murdering Boy Scout. Yep, keep feeding me those period piece samurai shows, Japan. I'm still not sick of them. However, while I might not be sick of them, I'm sure a lot of people are. So what is the hook to Blade of the Immortal? Why should you care, especially if you watched a show like Dororo earlier this year? Well, maybe you've heard of a certain man named Hiroshi Hamasaki and a couple of his most notable works. Bam bam! The visionary behind Steins Gate is here to give his take on this celebrated manga, and just prepare yourself within the first few seconds for stylistic overload and maybe a few seizures. This show is drowning in ostentatious visual design, and to put it bluntly, I think that's its main appeal, at least for the moment. The main duo have good chemistry and the overarching goal is interesting, but the main draw to me is easily the atmosphere this director brings in his style, both to the gratuitous action sequences and in the simpler dialogue scenes. What's even heavier and scarier than the brutal fights in Blade of the Immortal, however, are the shockingly realistic depictions of abuse that can be found in Hoshiai no Sora, or Stars Align, a sports original airing this season that's about a kid living with his single mother and is roped into joining a soft tennis club. Now honestly, I didn't even want to say that much, but I know that if I just tried to sell this as a sports show, plenty of Neanderthals in the comments would be like, "A sports show? I hate sports anime, they're so boring. Give me an isekai to watch instead, you idiot." I can't do much about ignorant people with bad taste, but for the rest of you who are actually open to all genres, Hoshiai no Sora promises to deal with a lot of heavy material, and I think even if you don't care at all about soft tennis, if you like drama, or just want to watch really human characters and how they interact, this is going to be something to look out for. Another show this season dealing with a lot of grounded human drama is ironically a show that doesn't feature a single human at all. Beastars is the newest anime from Studio Orange, hallowed be thy name, and if you're an outsider looking into this show without knowing the studio or anything about this series, you might make some incredibly asinine comments like, "Man, get this furry trash out of here," or "Ew, CGI, why isn't it hand animated?" To which I respond,
"Stop it. Get some help."
2 years ago, Studio Orange released an anime called Land of the Lustrous, which was certifiable proof that CGI anime could not only look good, but actually better than any other hand-animated series that year. Well, they're back at it again, boys, and somehow they've gotten even better. Beastars features some of the most gorgeous and expressive CGI I've ever seen, and yet still combines handcrafted animation for scenes that would be simply impossible without it. Studio Orange feel intent on taking as many creative risks as possible with this, and it's evident in everything, including this absolute banger of an opening which is done entirely in stop motion. Like, are you kidding me right now? This isn't a Tinder profile though, so I'm not gonna spend too long thinking about how it looks. The real question comes with what's behind that animation. What's the story? Where's the soul? Well, Beastars is about a school of animals where carnivores and herbivores live together in so-called peace. However, the story dives into what that peace means and the prejudice that both sides have for each other. And before you make that intelligent and completely original comparison to Zootopia, yes, they tackle similar themes, but Beastars isn't held down by the shackles of a soul-sucking conglomerate, so you get a much darker and more mature take on those concepts. Without a doubt, Beastars is up there with Babylon for me as the most promising show of the season, so do yourself a favor and give this underdog a shot. Oh wait, everybody's already on the hype train. On the topic of trains... Yeah, this is a thing. No Gun's Life is another detective show this season about a man with a gun for a head. I was honestly hoping they wouldn't even explain why he had a gun for a head because I was already sold, but it turns out that this is a dystopian cyberpunk future where humans were modified to become weapons and then subsequently abandoned after they weren't needed anymore. The world of No Gun's Life is reminiscent of movies like RoboCop or Judge Dredd, however the tone has a surprising air of lightheartedness. It feels like the show is constantly self-aware, and yet it always takes itself 100% seriously. I mean, the main character is a talking gun who takes on people's problems and is called a resolver. Like, are you kidding me? This is top tier writing, folks. However, the only thing above top tier writing is toppest tier writing, and I saved the best anime for last. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you, wait, I still have 3 shows left here. Hold on. Here's a little speed round for you. Cautious Hero is an isekai this season that's actually good and also fueled entirely by reaction images. The humor may get old eventually, but so far so good. Demon School Iruma-kun takes me back to my childhood days of watching anime on Cartoon Network. It feels very at home with shows like Bakugan and Sailor Moon, not necessarily in plot, but in the comfy vibes you get while watching. Africa's Salaryman is basically the poor man's Beastars, except it's a dry comedy. Okay, that's not true, they're nothing alike, but seriously, I don't know what's going on with all the animal shows lately. This one's good though, I promise. Okay, now we've reached the best for last. Drum roll, please. Assassin's Pride. Yes, I'm serious. You ever watch something and realize you can't really put into words why you enjoyed what you saw? Because that's kinda me with Assassin's Pride. At first glance, I dismissed this show immediately because it looked like the most generic anime garbage that I'd ever seen. But when I really dived into the series and gave it a chance, I realized that it was the most generic anime garbage that I've ever seen, and I love it. It already doesn't give the best first impression when you can count the number of tropes in the synopsis on 5 hands, but there's a weird charm to Assassin's Pride in its storytelling and writing. I won't use the term guilty pleasure because 1, I hate that term, and 2, I can actually describe what I like about the series. It's just hard to pinpoint what's making me enjoy it so much. The characters are tropes, sure, but they're also endearing. I don't know if anime is just starting to manipulate my love for underdog stories, but it's surprisingly effective. It's also a show that's great at setting atmosphere and mood. You might not expect anything original from this series, but this entire world takes place in a giant chandelier with multiple cities interconnecting. That alone is pretty awesome, but what's even cooler is the way the direction enhances this world by not just making it seem like a generic city. There's a palpable loneliness to everything. It feels empty in a monogatari kind of way, almost like it's reflecting the main characters and how they've been socially outcast. Or maybe I'm just reading too much into it and the writer is a hack. Either way, I was being ironic about it being the best show of the season, but it is a cool series, and I won't let you bully me for liking it because I lost all self-respect for myself a long time ago. And that's all the anime you should watch from this season. Don't say I forgot anything because I have chronic memory loss and that would be offensive. You can follow me on Twitter at PhenomSage or join my Discord where people with equally bad taste in anime hang out, or you can do none of those things, forget this video ever happened, and continue having a great day. I love you, and see you next time.
Shut the lights off.